All right, everybody, good evening and welcome back. Show number two for today, the Bay Ragni Show. And I have tonight's special guests, and we just kind of joked how interesting a story this woman has. And I can't wait to dive into it. Let's welcome to the show. Some might call her Gui-Tara, but we're going to call her Tara. It's Miss Tara Lynch. Tara, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, good. Glad to be here.
I'm excited. I am excited. Um, a mutual friend of ours has
Mhm.
brought this little show together tonight, and
Yep.
you know, I used to like when I would do these interviews, I would like a couple days ahead of time start preparing, but now it's just like I kind of wait to the last minute. So the last 3 hours has been Tara Lynch world,
Oh,
and I start. It's amazing
you
the
want to be
thing.
there?
Oh, I want to be there for sure. More and more. Like, take the music aside, I find out you're racing cars and stuff like that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you've blown my mind. So, I
Woohoo.
I want to. Yeah, this is just amazing because you know I didn't even know. I'm thinking, all right, here's this amazing musician, kick-ass guitarist. She's out there rocking, having fun, and then I find out like, oh yeah, decides not to go into the world of music until your late 40s.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. I, I knew early on you only have one life to live. And being a woman, obviously, one of the things you want to do, well, most of us anyway, is have kids and, you know, have a family and all of this. And maybe it's because of the way I grew up or whatever, but basically, I wanted to be there for my kids. I didn't want them to have keys around their neck like I did. And my mom was the best, by the way. Don't take that the wrong way. She's the greatest mother that ever lived. But uh, I wanted to be a present mom. So I knew that had to come first, obviously, because after a certain age, you don't get a choice. So that had to happen first. And so I decided to do that. And once I raised them up good and well, and they're on the way to colleges and such, that's when I said, okay, I'm going to do this now. And that's what I did. I'm a planner. What can I say?
So, all right, so let's rewind here for a little bit.
Sure.
So, as you're going through life and you're being mom
Yep.
and you have your family, you had to obviously been playing guitar, right?
The whole time since I was like, officially out there on the web, it's 11, but really at the age of 10, I got very, very interested in it. And my brother, older brother by almost 6 years, 5.5 years, played. And I had
Okay.
an uncle who played, and, music was always just around, and I was always very interested in it, like from as early as I can remember. And as about 10, I was like, well, I want to do this. I want to make music. So, but I had a touch it and die order from my brother. So by the time I was 11, I got up the nerve to sneak the guitar when he left the house and just start messing around with it. And I kind of taught myself, a few chords and stuff and figured it out on my own until he busted me one day. And I thought I was going to get the beating of a lifetime. and but he said he just stood there in absolute shock, and wondered how the hell I learned to play like that. Said, well, I'm never touching that again. It's yours. And went out and got himself another one and gave it to me. And I've never put
Wow.
guitar down since. So, that's most of my life on the six strings, that's for sure.
Okay, so but all that time, I mean, you're playing guitar, where you had to be writing music and all this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just, as they say, tabled it for later. I mean, I've always been a creator. I've always been a writer. I've always been a player. Um, and I've got like freaky, I'm not going to say, um, I can't host that metal show knowledge of music, but very close. So, it's always been at the absolute forefront of my mind. But I never really had a desire to do it professionally. I always just had fun with it. I was kind of like the freaky freaky good musician, writer person that kind of like kept it to herself until I was ready to share. And I just wasn't ready until later
Wow.
because I kind of knew early on that once I was ready to do that, it wouldn't go unnoticed because there aren't a lot of females out there playing the way I do and writing the way I do. So I kind of knew it was probably going to stick whenever I decided to do it. And well, if you're talking to me, I guess I'm right.
do do you think I mean because the last 5 years, maybe even 7 to 8 years,
Yeah.
um, in the music world, the women are rocking like crazy. More and more you're seeing, and I'm loving it. It's like because we're probably about the same age.
Yeah.
Um, growing up 70s and 80s, there was only a few of the women that broke through that you would give respect to or give a chance to. Now it's like everyone that comes through, you're like, what? Whoa, you
It's
included.
it's fantastic what I'm seeing happening now because, as you said, growing up at the, in those decades, for example, um, the only female guitarist with noteworthy chops for me personally was Nancy Wilson from Heart. And I
Wow.
don't know how many
Okay.
people realize what an amazing guitarist she is.
Yeah.
Take the beauty away, take that beautiful voice away. She is a phenomenally accomplished guitarist. I don't think people give her enough credit for that. I don't know why she's not been listed as one of the best guitarists on, all those polls they do and all these things that these magazines do and stuff. I don't know why the hell her skill has been overlooked. It just blows my mind. But there weren't really many guitar heroes in the female world growing up. But I loved Susie Quattro. She's a bass
Wow.
player.
Hmm.
She's a bass player, but very basic. But her whole package I thought was fantastic. And I'm not going to go without mentioning Joan Jett. Again, a very basic rock and roll player, but fantastic delivery. Beautiful girl, great at everything she does. Um, I only wish she actually wrote "I Love Rock and Roll" and it wasn't a cover because I mean, what a phenomenal song to come out with and really get people to bite. Um,
Absolutely.
but I do remember when I found out it was a cover and it wasn't her song, I was like kind of disappointed,
Me too.
you know. Um, but whatever. So really, all of my guitar heroes were the dudes, and so I don't know. I guess I'm just really heavily influenced by, the guys, Michael Schenker, Lee Roth, Vinnie Moore, Steve Vai, Tony Mcalpine, Ingve, people like that through the years. And obviously prior to them, you've got, your Richie Blackmores and and your Jimmy Page and, all these people. So it's just always been all these great guitar players that are men. And I'm so excited. Maybe it's YouTube or whatever it is that got girls to finally pick up the thing and get
Hmm.
going because it's so easy for them to learn now by watching a video or whatever. Um, in my day, I just had to use my ears and my eyeballs because I don't read music. I write it, but I don't read it. So, and when I write it, I'm recording it straight into something. So
Right.
I used to record onto these things for you young people called cassettes. They had this little tape inside, and obviously, stuff like that on little cassettes and stuff. But yeah, it's fantastic to see all these great girls out there
Hmm.
clearing it up. I'm so excited to see that. I wish more of them were actually writing what they're playing.
Right.
I'd like to see that more. I think it's important that you're not just a strumming head or a singing head. I like when
Hmm.
people are actually, when they deliver a song, it's actually from their heart what they wrote. you know.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
do that. That's the only thing I can do is my own. So
So do you think that kind of helped push you too? That seeing the breakthrough of women in music?
not at all whatsoever. It
No. Wow.
literally, no, not at all whatsoever. It had nothing to do with it. In fact, when I first, wrote the record, that major push hadn't happened yet. That really has only been the last few years.
So,
Um,
this all right. This is amazing. So what was the thing that I mean? A few years ago where you like decide to like finally all right, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna record an album, and I'm gonna go
what
tour
was
the
the
world.
final thing? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll tell you. So basically, it was a couple of things. First of all, my kids had to be old enough for me not to have to be there every single second, you know. Um, because I knew I would not only make a record, but then I would have to tour to support the record. And
Right.
I didn't want to go on tour. That was really the major reason. I did not want to go on tour until they were old enough to handle me going on tour.
Hmm.
So they're both in college now, so they're old enough. Obviously, everything's fine, and it's been that way since my first tour in 2018. So basically, the a couple of things happen. I don't suck. Okay, so I play all right, right? And I'm told enough by enough people, and I used to go on those music cruises for fun, and my friends that knew me really well, that know I play, that always got to hear me play in private. Obviously, were like, "Hey, you should do one of those guitar contests or something." And I ended up meeting these guys from a band in Belgium called Beyond the Labyrinth, and the founder Geert View, and he was, I don't know, so impressed, and I don't remember how it happened, but he got a hold of me and asked me to record on his fourth album for Beyond the Labyrinth, like a guest solo or two. I
Okay.
ended up I ended up going out to Belgium and actually recording 3 tracks on the record, solos for 3 tracks, and then I came back and I said, "All right, well, I guess it's time I actually go now. I'm going to push the go button. I'm going to write my record. I'm going to get my friends involved as guests on the record, and I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to start touring." So I sat my family down, my husband and my kids, and I said, I've decided I'd like to do this, and I want to know that it's okay with you guys, because it's going to change the whole dynamic about how I live my life and how available I am to you at times. It's going to take me away from home a lot. I'm going to be in the recording studio. I'm going to be on tour. So I want to make sure you guys are okay with it. And my youngest was a little like, but then he's like, yeah, 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 okay. And my oldest was like, go, go, And, yeah, no. So at the end of the day, they all said, yeah, we can totally handle it. Do it. So I said, okay. And I wrote the album. I recorded all the demos myself, played the instruments, everything, and then sent it out to my friends in the business and said, "Hey, do you want to be a guest on the record?" They all said, "Absolutely." Done.
Wow.
So that's basically it. Was really a matter of timing, and I had recorded as a guest on someone else's record, and I thought, well, I should make my own now. Okay, it's time. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the conversation with your family, did they see it coming at all? Did they expect this, or were they shocked?
They absolutely expected it, because when I want to do something, it's done. So they knew I meant business, and they knew it was going to happen. If I was going to do it, it was going to go. Yeah, they knew as much as I did.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So had you played any shows before this whole like getting into the recording part of it? And
Nothing noteworthy. I mean, you're talking about parties, maybe one or two things at a club, and when I was a teenager, nothing
wow.
really, nothing worth mentioning. No, nothing professionally, that's for sure. No, my first live show was opening for Bonfire and Friends in Weimar, Germany. Um,
Come on. How does this happen?
in front of a couple of thousand people. Well, a booking agent reached out to me that had heard my record and was like flipping out, and he was like, "Hey, um, from out there in Germany," he's like, "Hey, you know, we'd love to represent you out here. People love your music out here. Do you want to come out and you know, have a talk with these guys and see if you can open their tour?" And I said, "Sure." So I went out to Wacken and met up with the guys and made the deal, and you know, that was it. So my first, you know, my first show was in Germany, and
Wow.
um, it was a great show because right away, my first show, there was a guy front and center with my shirt on. He like went and bought a shirt on his way in, threw it on, and like was right there for my set wearing my T-shirt. This fan, it was great. I was like, wow, you know, you build your fan base one fan at a time. I was so
Yeah.
impressed with that. I was like amazed by that. So yeah, and then after that, my first tour that was a big tour because that one actually got canceled in the middle, but well, early on actually. Um, anyway, not by me, by the headliner. Um, was with UFO in the UK. So I mean, that's all I've ever
Amazing.
done
It's
is
amazing.
I skipped the whole like coming up in the club thing, I guess.
You did kind of just jump right. You just hurdled that whole
I just
situation.
kind of I don't know. I got
That you know,
the
that was
fast
the
pass
thing.
like at Disneyland. I don't know.
That was the funny thing. Like as I'm sitting there and I'm like going through and I'm seeing all these pictures and live videos and stuff.
Yeah.
I was saying to myself, I'm like, you're not seeing any of those clubs with 15, 20 people in them. You're seeing crowds. I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah. My first tour was I mean, I've you know, just played in front of thousands all of a sudden, night after night, just like that.
Wow.
Um, it was phenomenal. No, it was a fantastic experience. I very glad to have started that way because one of the things that I do, and I think this is good advice for everybody to take, is if you have a goal, operate as if you've reached it, no matter what stage you're in, and you'll get there, you know? And
Absolutely.
which is very different from fake it till you make it because you can't fake a damn thing I do. And when I hit a bad note, you're going to hear it. It's live. But uh, but not fake it till you make it. That's crap actually. But actually operate as if you've made it. Truly. Believe in yourself that much and you'll do okay. So, you know, here I am and just believing in myself.
All right. So you start doing these shows over in Germany,
Yep.
Bonfire, and then the tour with UFO.
Yep.
Like especially early on, do you say to yourself at any point like, why the hell did I wait so long for this?
No, never. No, because I had two children, planned children.
Hmm.
I wanted to raise said children. And to me, that trumps everything else in life. I'm a big family person. So for me, you know, my sons mean everything to me. And I didn't put it off. I literally didn't have the desire to do it professionally
That's
until
amazing.
later on. I just was a really good hobby player. That's it. You know, I just
That's amazing.
literally did not grow up wanting to be a rock star. You know, it was just, you know, I was happy enough to just be a fan, be a mom, and nurture my hobbies with the guitars and cars and call it a day. But then I decided, okay, you know what? The kids are going to go off to college, they're going to leave the nest, and what the hell am I going to do? You know, because I used to have, believe it or not, an accounting firm. I had that for 13 years, and it
Okay.
was my own corporation, my company, and I ran that for 13 years, and I closed it down by design to focus on my kids full time.
Wow.
And so, um, you know, so then I wasn't doing that anymore, and I was like, playing guitar like crazy because I always have. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's something I should do, you know? So, when the guys, when Beyond the Labyrinth asked me to come out and record, that's when I was like, well, that kind of seals the deal. This is definitely something I should be doing. Somebody wants me
Right.
on their record, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I said to myself, okay, well, obviously it's time for me to decide whether or not I want to share what I'm doing. Because once I share it, there's no going back.
Right.
And
Right.
so that had a lot to do with it. I didn't hold off. I didn't wait. I didn't, it was never a goal until I decided I'm going to do it.
Did you especially with like when you're recording the album, like
Yeah.
going into the studio and let's say when you're in a studio, it's got to be perfect. So
Yep.
the anytime the as you're trying to go through this process, say to yourself like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, is this really what I want to do, or am I just
No,
like,
never. And maybe this is going to make me sound like a total dick, but you know, I've even though I wasn't doing it professionally and didn't want to do it professionally, I've always said the only difference between myself and anyone that's doing it professionally, the only difference is that they simply decided to do it professionally.
wow,
But we are equally musicians. We are equally performers. We are equally all of the things that come along with it. The only difference is whether or not you decide to do it in front of somebody. So you can't say to the guy that's been playing guitar for you know 20 years that decided to, I don't know, have a boat business and sit dead or whatever he did with his life, that he's any less of a guitarist than Edward Van Halen or somebody, just because he didn't do it professionally. He might be the greatest guitarist that you've ever heard
right,
and just kept it to himself. And there's so many people like that.
it's
This is
true.
why I love the those rock camp things that people get
Hmm.
to do, things like that that are set up
Yeah,
for people to that have chosen other paths in life, basically. Um, but they love the musician part of themselves, and they get to get their
hmm,
yayas out in those kinds of situations. I'm a huge advocate for those kinds of organizations. I think they're fantastic. I only hope one day they ask me to come as a guest and coach or whatever, when I'm a little more well known, I guess. But yeah, I think those are fantastic because, I've always had, uh, I've never said, why am I doing this? No,
huh?
I knew that I could all along if I wanted to. That's the thing. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm
That's
overly
amazing.
confident. I don't know, but I always knew I could. There's no difference other than making the decision to go for it. That's it.
Well, let's talk about the musician in you because you know naturally you play guitar,
Yep.
but then I see like you play bass, you play drums, and
Yep.
which you sing too, which is part of your package. Uh, what did you started with guitar at a
Yeah.
young age, but how did bass? I could see, it can kind of come along naturally, pick
You
up a
know,
bass, but
right.
where does the drum part come in?
Oh, because I already knew how to play guitar and bass, and I just wanted. I've always just loved percussion. I'm always beating on things like a drummer. Anyway, like I'm always like,
I
okay,
am
so
too, but I've sat behind drums.
no, but you know what?
Wait. I play guitar very badly. I attempted. Was a so-called guitarist for many years, and it's horrible. But I've sat behind drums many times with drummers I played with,
Mhm.
and it just doesn't work. The body doesn't work that way for me. So, talk to me. How does it work for you?
I am just completely musical for some reason because every instrument is self-taught, and I can do it.
That's
So
amazing.
I just, I just decided I want to get a drum kit. Well, okay, let me go back to actually, this goes back to high school. When I was in high school, uh, I had whatever boyfriends, one in particular that played drums.
Okay.
And we got into the juvenile argument, as you would at a high school age, because it's absurd now as an adult to think about it. But basically, it was drums are harder to play than guitar. No, guitar is harder to play than drums. Oh, okay. So we decided to, I said, you know what? I'll prove it to you. I go, and I'd never, ever played drums before in my life, ever. And I said to him, uh, you pick the song. I will learn it and play it for you in 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
You pick the song on guitar, because he'd never picked one up before, and you learn it and play it for me in 2 hours. I'm going to let you pick your song and my song. I was so confident I'd be able to do it
I'm dying to know these songs.
because I was always beating on everything all the time since I was a baby. So he picks Alone Again by Dokken for me, which is a very,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, okay. And he picks for himself Smoke on the Water, of course. The same song. Everybody goes into the music store. This is back then, everybody.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a band called Deep Purple. They're great. Anyway, um, goes he picks Smoke on the Water because it's the easiest song according to everybody, and the music stores have the signs up, don't play Stairway to Heaven and don't play Smoke on the Water and all of this stuff. So 2 hours is up. I was left alone with his drum kit. I gave him a guitar and he went to the other side of the house. And we come back together 2 hours later. And of course, I play the song perfectly and fills and all, no problem. And it's funny, this is the first time I figured out a basic 2/4. And he comes back and he plays his rendition of Smoke on the Water, which sounded like someone sitting on a guitar, and like nothing was ringing and I couldn't hear anything, and it was like then he just goes on one string, uh, uh, I'm like, you're fired. I won. You're fired. I won, and we're done. But just so everybody knows, I don't think either one is harder to play than the other. If he would have asked me to play Tom Sawyer, I'd have been fucked. Just saying. You know, it's my luck. He picked
Alone Again. Great song, but
an easier tune, and me having a natural inclination anyway. And so anyway, it was a real pisser, but that was my first experience with the drums. Then I never played them again. And then, fast forward many years, and I've had my kids, and I decided I want to get a bass. I'm listening to all this great funky bass stuff. I want to hear it. So I want to play it. Got a bass, figured that out. Now I've got several of them. And then I was like, I want to get drums. So got drums. And then I just started playing along with all the Steely Dan and Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know why, but those are my favorite bands to play drums with. So then later on, I ended up studying with Chad from the Chili's.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So then I see you studied, you studied guitar with Steve Vai. You studied with Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers. Derek from
Dream Theater.
Thank you. How does that happen now?
Well, so living in Los Angeles, you make a lot of friends, and you have friends in the music business just because, I worked in TV for some years and stuff. So I got to know a lot of people in the entertainment world, basically. And so through friends, whatever, going to parties, you end up meeting a lot of people. And so, the guests on my album, pretty much every single one of them I met through friends, like, or in a couple of cases, like a charity event or something like that. Like, we're really big on the Hollywood arts. Steve is really big on Hollywood arts, so that way or whatever. But you just basically meet that way, and then it's like, hey, like Derek, for example. Hey, I want to learn how to play some things that I don't know yet. Maybe you can, because I play piano, but I'm not going to call myself a pianist. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I was like, oh, teach me this or that. Like some extra things. Teach me a song. Like I wanted to learn some Paul McCartney or something like that. For fun.
Hmm.
And so he came and did that. Just came over, sat right over here at the piano, and you know, uh, Steve. I went to his house. He's come over here too, and Tony um, has been a friend of ours for many, 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 many years. And anyway, so yeah, you just kind of get to know people, and you make friendships the same way you make them with everybody else. If you meet them in a personal situation, you know what I
Right.
mean? Um, and so yeah, that's basically how that all came to be. Or again, like I said, if it was tied to a charity thing or something like that. Yeah.
So then, when you start to put together your album,
Yep. I pick up the
and
phone.
you just, hey, Vinny,
You know
I
what?
I got some drum spots. Would you like to do them?
So basically, yes, I can play the drums, but I'm not a drummer. Yes, I can play piano, but I'm not a pianist. Yes, I can play bass, but I'm not a bass player. So my point is that you can be a jack of many trades, but what are you an expert in? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm an expert in guitar, right? The way I play it anyway for myself. All right. So I'm not going to be stupid and drum on my own record, because the fact of the matter is, you want someone, so I can do the demo drums, no problem. And that's what I did. But you want someone who does nothing but drum on your record, somebody with style, right? And a feel and a groove.
Sure.
And my favorite drummer in the universe, who happened to also be a friend of mine, is Vinny Appice.
Wow.
So I called him up and I said, listen, I need drums for my record. I'm making a record. Here's the songs. Take a listen. Tell me if you want to do them. Done. Same with Glenn Sobel, because I needed him specifically for two tracks on the record that are more progressive in
Okay.
nature and need more of his style. And
Hmm.
I thought, okay, who do I know that has the chops and the style to handle these two tracks the way I want to hear them? And that would be someone like a lot more progressive and more treble and stuff. So that was Glenn. Picked up the phone and called Glenn. Now, uh, and uh, Tony on keys. I don't know if people realize Tony Mcalpine is as great at the piano as he is on guitar. He's a
Wow. Okay.
virtuoso of, well, he's been playing Chopin, things like that, since he was 4 years old. He's classically
Wow.
trained. Yeah. So again, knowing that, I called him and I said, okay, I need a couple of key solos on a couple of tracks. No problem, done. Bjorn England on bass, same thing. Phil Susan on bass. I just, again, I go to my what we used to call a Rolodex. It's a phone book, your contact file on your phone, whatever you call it these days.
So, did all these people, did they know early, like before you actually approached them to play on it, did they know you were starting to do
I
your own album?
shocked the shit out of them. They had no idea that they knew I was a musician at home, like a hobby player, but my husband is too. And he's truly a hobby player. He doesn't want to go professional or anything, but he's got his career or whatever. But so if we ever like had a jam or whatever, my husband would play with them. Like I didn't want to play with anybody. It was like hard for
Really?
me. I didn't want to, yeah. So they didn't know. They knew I played guitar, but they didn't know. They never heard it.
Wow.
And when they heard it, they were like, they were almost angry, like, why have you been hiding this from us? Seriously. Like, I mean, they were completely shocked. But I said, well, no, it's not that I've been hiding it. It's just I literally haven't wanted to sort of like let it out of the cage until I felt like it. So now I do. So um, you want to play? Yeah. Okay. Good. So done. You know, that's
That's
basically it.
amazing.
So I had, my good friend Mark Bowles, um, who I love so much. He's such a great guy. come and do the vocals for Evil Enough and Trustless. And I intended for him, or maybe even a couple of other guests, to come and sing the rest of the vocal tracks on the record. So I had those two done with him. And when it came time to do Banished from My Kingdom, and I, went in over to the studio, and Vinny and Phil, Vinny Appice, Phil Soussan were there to record. My producer, Brent Woods. Brent had been telling me since we got started, you should really be singing on your own record. And I said, I don't think my voice sounds great. I'm not going to do that. I didn't think of myself as a singer. I've only thought of myself as a guitar player. So he's like, but he heard me sing the demos. So
Wow.
everybody that learns my music to record on the record, they had to hear my demo, where, again, I can't write music on paper, so I can only record it in. So I recorded in a vocal, I recorded in all the guitar tracks, I recorded in a bass track and a drum track. And they're given a finished demo basically to listen to, learn the song, and then come and put their special sauce on it, So basically, Brent heard me singing the whole time going, you should be singing on your own record. And I'm like, yeah, I sound like a frog, no thank you. So I show up to the studio to record Banished, and I just parked the car, and the door flings open to the parking lot, and Vinny goes, why aren't you singing on this record? What are you doing? That's you on the vocal. What is going on here? And then they literally harass me in the studio all day. I think I'm being punked. I think they must be joking. And they're not punking me after hours and hours of this, and every reason why I should do it. Then they started speaking business to me. And I know business. I got both left and right brain. And I realized, you're absolutely right, but I don't know if I can cut it. So why don't I officially record the lead vocal, the vocals for Banished. And if I like the way it sounds, then I'll do the rest. If I don't, then I'll do what I was going to do and get Mark back to sing the rest, or maybe have another guest or something, and just have like a few guests on the record. So I recorded Banished, and then we listened back to it, and I said, well, that doesn't suck. It actually sounds okay. I guess, sure, okay, fine. So I recorded the rest of the vocals for the record. That's why Mark is only on the 2 songs. And of course, I wasn't going to take those off and redo them either, because they're perfect. So I left them exactly the way I wanted to hear them. I always, when I wrote Evil Enough and Trustless, I knew that Mark is a friend of mine, and unless he was too busy, I could get him to do it. I knew he'd be able to do it. So I had his voice in my head. That's the only thing I wanted to hear on those tracks. So basically, so I left them the way they are, perfect. And then I recorded the rest of the vocals myself. Now here's the funny part. I do that. Album's done and wrapped up. All right. Let's talk about how to release this thing and tour on it. And then it occurred to me, oh shit. I've got to sing the vocal and play lead at the same time, because there's a lot of lead under the vocals. It's not just chords. There's a lot of, stuff going on under the vocals. I had to do that at the same time. So I literally had to lock myself in my studio and learn how to walk and chew gum.
Wow.
I never did them together like that. I always wrote separately, separate vocals separately. So I was like, holy crap. And I was horrified. But maybe it's the natural drummer in me. I can use all hands and feet at the same time. I don't know. Maybe, I can split my brain like that. And somehow I figured it out and worked it out.
That's amazing. But now there's actually a couple songs that are instrumentals on the album. So did you think about just doing a whole instrumental album at any point, or?
Nope. No. I was always going to do some some vocal tracks. Like I was going to originally do a half and half, but it turned out to be 6 and 4
Okay.
um, for the record. It was going to be a half and half, and I was just going to like alternate them. Um, uh, but I ended up writing 6 vocal tracks and four instrumentals for this record. So no, I
When you're
always wanted to mix it up. Yeah.
but when you're like when you're writing these songs, do you
Hmm.
like how do you know which ones are going to end up being the instrumental ones? Because I mean, let's face it, either
Oh, that's
way, they're okay. Tell me.
that's easy because I write them that way from the start. So every song I write, you got to think of it this way, the way I think of it. I sing every single song I play. I'm either singing with my voice or my
Mm-hmm.
guitar,
Mm-hmm.
but my guitar is very much my vocal in the instrumentals. So it
Okay.
could go either way. Now, um, obviously, in the what people would call shreddy parts, you don't sing like that, obviously. But
Right.
but those notes are the members of a scale,
Mm-hmm.
and the scale has a sound, and that could be the key I'm singing in, for example, or the scale I'm singing in if I were going to do a vocal. When I do my guitar, when I write, for example, I'll play the underlying rhythm or something, and I'll sing along with it, and I'll be like, wow, 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 and I know which way I'm going with it from the start. If I have, so like, let's take Evil Enough. When I wrote that song, it's a very angry song. Well, they're all
Mm.
pretty angry songs. Um, it is very much a dun dun bow, boom boom bow. I'm really throwing someone under the bus in that song. I have something to say, and I have the words to say it. So it's a melody that goes with the words that I want to say.
Mm.
When I'm writing an instrumental, it's about somebody, it's got a title. Okay. Exit the Warrior, that song I wrote for my younger son, who's a black belt in karate,
Wow.
Taekwondo, black belt from the World Taekwondo Federation, the real deal. He's got a license and everything. I wrote that song for him. It has nothing to do with Rush, and I didn't even think about the fact that "Exit the Warrior" is in the Tom Sawyer song. I didn't even realize that. It came about because he's my little warrior, right? Being a black belt, and every time I would come near his bedroom to tell him to do something or ask for something, he'd go, "Exit." That's where it came from. That's why it's called Exit the Warrior. So it's like a play on that. Anyway, you know, I wrote that song thinking about him every time I've seen him like running and flipping and flying and kicking and all this stuff that he does. And that
Wow.
song is very much about, think about it, if you know the song,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about him doing one of his, oh, you know, okay. And then you've got my older son, and he's enigmatic. Enigmatic, the definition is, like a total puzzle. And he's got many moods, and he's brilliant. And so enigmatic, if you listen to it, has many moods. That song has like 7 songs in it. You could
Wow.
literally take like 7 chunks of that song and write and split it into 7 songs if you want to. But I mean, really, it takes a whole left turn and everything. But um, it's just it's about my son and his beautiful character and personality. But it's instrumental because I think musically, I think in colors and stuff like that. It's all weird, but basically that's how I write. So I don't sit down and go, okay, I'm going to write this song, and it's going to be either instrumental or vocal. A song you haven't heard yet that's going to be coming out either as a single or a bonus track or on another record, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, that I have in the can already recorded with Vinny Appice and Bjorn England again,
Nice.
is an instrumental. And Brent, my producer, loved it so much. He kept saying, I wish this was a vocal one. I want to sing along to this. And I'm like, then I've done my job. because
There you go.
obviously the melody I wrote is is something you want to sing along with. So when I write my instrumentals, it's not to get in the shrapnel hall of fame at all whatsoever. It's not about look at my chops, look at my chops. It's about melody. It's about
Mhm.
being musical. And my notes have to soar and sing. It's more
Mhm.
important to me than to do acrobatics and stuff like that. So, you know, if there's anything shreddy in it, it's not on purpose. It's because it's what fit in that particular part. It's a transition, but there's a lot of melody. My songs have a lot of melody, and I write melody lines under the vocals on the vocal tracks too. And I use octavers and I record several octaves and harmonies of those melodies on purpose because that's how I hear them in my head.
Do you ever do that? Like you were saying, your producer was saying, like
Mhm.
he's singing the song in his head. He's coming up with lyrics in his head, and he wants to sing it. Do you do that with your own instrumentals at times?
I never have a lyric for my instrumentals. Never. It's always gibberish.
It's
Yeah.
always gibberish. I love
Wow, 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 ba, ba, ba.
it.
That's simple as that.
uh,
That's how it goes. I probably sound like I'm totally mental. Like if you were to like, peer into the studio while I was working on something, because I work alone. I'm very private. I don't like anybody around. But my husband and the kids get the privilege of hearing everything happen, outside the doors. But um, yeah, I probably sound like a total mental patient.
I gotta know this. So when you start doing the live shows,
Yeah.
at what point does your husband and kids see? Are they at the first ones? Do they see? Like, what do they
Well, the
think of
first one
now?
first one was in Germany, and, it was expensive enough for my ticket to go out there, so it's like, they were not at the first one, but my husband did come out to, the UFO tour and saw my shows in London. My sister-in-law came out, my brother-in-law, so I had some family there, and then my husband has come to, like, every tour I've done. He's been at least to one of the shows, if not two. Even when I did the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, he came out to the festival to see my set. And just about the only thing he didn't do was that Megadeth Mega Cruise. He had to work, but
Okay,
um,
so how long you guys been married for?
oh gosh, we just had our 34th Valentine's Day.
Wow!
Yeah,
Congratulations!
thank you.
Wow. Okay. So what does he think when he sees his wife up there,
He's my
his
biggest
ride
fan.
or die for 34 years
That's right.
up there on that stage? He must be like, that's my woman. That's my
That's my
baby.
wife. That's my girl. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then he has to hear me sing songs about him, like "Trustless" and shit like that, and then he's like, "Man, I'm getting kicked in the nuts." It's been a tumultuous marriage, but I'm here to tell everybody true love actually exists. You can go through all that shit and still make it, then you know it's real, and
Oh,
it's real,
hell yeah.
real as hell. So he's up there proud as heck, and he's got this massive tattoo of me on his arm, my little
Damn.
guitar avatar. It's hilarious. Yeah. No, he's my biggest fan. He's a big supporter of everything I do, very proud of me, and is very excited every time I play and he gets to come see it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
how about your sons? What do they
My
think when they
kids,
see their mom up there?
well, my older son came and saw a show of mine in near Philadelphia.
That's my
I
old
was up,
hometown.
it was Ardmore.
Ardmore. Yes, I
Yeah.
used to live right near there.
And he's going to college in Boston, so it was easy for him to
Okay.
just go over there and see the show. And he was so proud of his mama. He was so cute. He's wearing my T-shirt with a blazer, and people were like, "That's your mom! Oh my god!" And so it was really cute. He loves it. He's a huge fan. My younger son, um, he has not come to a live show yet because that whole atmosphere kind of freaks him out. So, we've taken him to some concerts and stuff, and he's not a
Not
huge
as
fan of
seen.
doing like in a crowd and stuff. So
Yeah,
he hasn't yet, but he says he will. But hopefully soon. I want him to come to one of the shows in Texas if he can, but we'll see. Yeah.
interesting. This is such an amazing story. I love it. I really do. So now, how about you said you have one song recorded. Is there?
Oh, no, no, there's more than that. I was just talking about that one particular
Okay,
song.
okay,
Just to bring up the point about like whether it's a vocal or an instrumental. I
okay.
wrote it as an instrumental and it stays as an instrumental no matter how much my producer thinks that, I should turn it into a vocal track. There's no way. It stays as is. That's how I wrote it and that's how it stays. So,
So, but how about
but yeah, there's new stuff in the pipeline, absolutely.
yeah, you must be like chomping at the bit, especially like as we've gone through this
Absolutely.
pandemic, no
Yes. That's
shows for
where
a while.
Yeah. That's why it's 2022 and I'm still touring on Evil Enough because there was a massive halt to everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take such a great record
Hmm.
and say, oh, well, time has passed. I need to sweep this one under the rug and do something new. Guess
Love it.
what? No, I don't. I need to hold on to the new stuff and give this record the the touring it deserves.
Hmm.
And so I've hit the UK, I've hit Ireland, I've only played the one show in Germany, but Germany's got a lot of places to play, so I'm playing a lot more places in Germany soon. And and I've played a little bit around the country, but I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to hit basically all the territories I haven't hit yet with this record and give it its full run
It
because
deserves it. It deserves to be. Yeah, you deserve
there's
to just
exactly. I'm not.
play
I'm
the
not
hell out of it.
I'm gonna play the hell out of it. I'm not letting that go. And then the new stuff will come out when the new stuff comes out, when the timing is right. You know, once Evil Enough has had, its time in the sun, then, you know, I mean, it's just too important a record to let it fall through the COVID cracks, so to speak.
Right.
So
Right.
I won't do that. I won't do that. Mm-mm.
Now, how about you know, something that comes along with this whole thing? It's all right. It's one thing. Um, First you enter a studio, you start writing music, then you enter a
Yes.
studio, and then you're
Yep.
playing live shows. But then there's the whole back end where
Mhm.
it's the business side of it, which you're a businesswoman,
Yep,
but
and
there
that's
is
how I handle everything.
the business side, and then it's this side doing the promotions of it.
Mhm.
And did you realize again what you were getting yourself into with all that stuff on top of?
I had an idea, but I didn't know it was gonna be so, like let's put it this way, I'm only one person, right?
Right.
And like I said, I had a company for 13 years. I was the
Hmm.
CEO. It was my company. I had a lot
Hmm.
of people working for me around the world. It was great. But nothing has been as challenging as this because I know that a lot more could have happened with everything if I knew what the hell I was doing because I'd never done it before.
Right.
So obviously, I've done well enough. Again, you're talking to me, aren't you? Right?
That's right.
I've done well enough, but I realize when I need help. And so, our friend that hooked us up helped, for example, is helping me out with some stuff. And you know,
And I just want to say, I love that guy. He's such a beautiful person.
yeah, he's great. So, yeah, I've definitely had to enlist some outside help now because it's just getting out of control. I can't handle it all myself anymore.
Yeah.
I I try to be as participant in the whole like social media aspect
Hmm.
of things because that's incredibly important these days. But you know,
That's a full time job in itself.
it's just too much. Like it's making me crazy to have to, you ask my fans, gosh, if anybody, I don't know if they can comment as we're talking or whatever.
Hmm.
Okay, they'll tell you. I answer them directly. I try very hard to. I can't answer everything. I cannot answer
Sure.
all questions and all the mail I get, but I pick a day, at this point, I'll try and pick a day, maybe 2 days, where I go through the inbox and I look at stuff and I'll answer some stuff. Like I'll just try
Mhm.
and answer, at least, 10 or 15 people, right?
Right.
Personally,
Mhm.
because I just think that's the way to go. I
Yeah.
can't. Well, it's kind of like how I wanted to handle my kids. I wanted to be a mom and be there. That's why I didn't do this until later because sure, I could have handed them off to a nanny, but then that person raised your kids, not you. So no, thank you. I didn't want to do
Exactly.
that. So if I was going to be a mom, I wanted to be a mom. So mom, I am. And so, basically, I'm not going to hand off, my social media to somebody who's going to come up with answers like, what would Tara say?
Right.
So I've I've been doing it myself this whole time. I'm continuing to try and handle it by myself, but it's getting really crazy. So I'll continue to answer things, but somebody else can help me post at least or something. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to start looking at getting help for those
Yeah.
kinds of things because I need to be busy writing, recording, and touring, and somebody else has to do that stuff. So I'm getting pretty close to that point. Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a really good thing. But yeah, I had no idea that that was going to be something that I had to spend so much time doing. You know what I mean? That was shocking.
It's like
And it kind of crept up too. It was like, what the hell is this? I don't want to do this part of it. Like, oy. But you
it,
have to.
yeah. I mean, I probably spend like in the morning 2 hours just getting stuff set up and all for the day, and then you're throughout the day. I'm like constantly on my phone with
Yeah.
between the three different things I do between the Facebook and the Instagram, and my fiance handles the TikTok. I refuse to go into that world because that's just a whole nother animal. I don't know if you're on there or not, but that's a whole nother animal.
I mean, my music is on there, and I don't think metal is very big on TikTok, but um, I like looking at the cute little animal videos. I like all the dogs and the animal videos and stuff on TikTok, but I did
Yeah,
set up
but
a
then the humans come up and it turns me off.
right. But one of the younger people in my family taught me you push on it and you say not interested, and then that kind of stuff doesn't come up anymore. So I
Oh,
just get a lot of animals. So
there you go.
yeah. So I started a little TikTok just to see how do you use it and stuff like that. And I put some of my little doggy videos on there. It's personal. It's not even I don't know if anybody knows who I am on there, uh, but for my doggy. Well, I figure Vivian Campbell's dog has an Instagram. I can have a TikTok for my
There you go. There you go. Which, all right. So now I'm gonna have the bone I have to pick with you because out of all these amazing guitarists you mentioned that have
dog.
influenced you and you love, you have
Yep.
never once and I haven't seen it in interviews in print. Haven't
Okay.
heard your name mentioned. The
Okay.
one guitarist, my one favorite all-time guitarist since I was a little kid, Randy Rhoads.
Oh, I love I love I love Randy Rhoads. Look, you see that behind me?
There we go.
You see both of them?
There we go. Okay.
I'm saying, no, I love them. That's only because I can only list a few, but I gotta say that was he an influence? He had to be.
Yeah.
But I guess I've never mentioned him because I don't know. I usually let out my top favorites, which is always going to be Michael Schenker and Uli Roth and Vinnie Moore and Tony Mcalpine, and I love their work so much, and I love Randy's work too. It's not on purpose that he's not mentioned. It's really not. No one's ever asked for a complete list. He'd be on there if I had a complete. So would Edward Van Halen, and I
Sure.
haven't mentioned him either. I can think of Stevie Ray Vaughan that I haven't mentioned. I could think of a lot of guitarists I haven't mentioned. But no, I love Randy. Randy was amazing, super talented.
I remember I went. Speaking of Vinnie Moore, and you've mentioned Tony a few times.
Yeah.
I think I was 16, so it was probably around 86, maybe 87. I went to a guitar clinic that they were doing. Actually, it was Tony Mcalpine was doing it. It was his clinic at a local music store that I used to hang out at, and they had it in like a little catering hall. And I remember just sitting there watching, being blown away. And then he was like, "Oh, I want to bring my good friend up who's going to play with me tonight." And it was Vinnie Moore, and I was
Yep.
just like, "Who is this guy, and where did he come from?" I was like
Oh
blown
yeah.
away. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's extraordinary. And I actually, on that same clinic tour, I caught a Vinnie Moore clinic. Actually, it was in probably 87,
Okay.
1987, I want to say. And yeah, he absolutely blew my mind in that clinic. I just, you know, knowing him as I do now years later, he told me he was super nervous. That was like one of the first ones he ever did. I caught
Yeah.
one of the first ones, and he was like so nervous about it, but he did a great job. But yeah, those clinics were amazing. I don't see
Mhm.
those happening anymore because where did the music stores go either? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're all like mostly like corporate music
They used to
stores
have them at
now.
the like record stores or,
Hmm.
yeah, they're all corporate now. It's like a
Yeah. All the mom and pop shops are gone, sadly.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
it's a whole different scene, but yeah, those were great to go to. I've been to
Hmm.
many of them, but that was definitely my favorite.
That's awesome. So now, what's going to be the plans now for the rest of 2022 for you? I know we have some shows coming up, like you mentioned, Texas next month.
Yeah, I've got like 3 shows in Texas, and then in April, there's another chunk of shows with Last in Line as well, also in the U.S. In May, I'll be on tour for the whole month with Vinnie Moore in Europe, everywhere
Okay.
from Italy to Finland and everywhere in
Wow.
between, Germany again, and Poland, Czech Republic, everywhere, all over Europe. So that is all I have on the docket for touring this year so far, but that's a lot already.
Sure.
So yeah, so I'm not sure. Again, it's going to depend on what I decide to do, whether I continue to tour throughout the rest of the year or if I release something, you know, between then and the end of the year. That's going to depend on a lot of things.
I think you need to throw something out there and whet our appetites a little more. Just a little tease.
Yeah, I have a single that I've been holding on to that I could have released, that was actually going to release in 2020, but then COVID happened and, the whole lockdown and everything. And then I said, okay, now I was supposed to have been touring on Evil Enough throughout that whole time. And then it would, come after that. But that touring's happening now. So again, it can't come until after that has settled down.
Right.
Yeah. And then I will tour on that new stuff. So yeah.
Here's an interesting question from
Yeah.
one of our viewers.
Okay.
Do you mentor or teach any female young artists?
Oh, someday I would love to do that, but I haven't done it yet. I don't really feel like I'd be a very good teacher because I can't read music, and I play everything by ear. I don't even know what key I'm in. I don't know what note I'm on. I don't
That's
know
amazing. I love that. That's great.
any. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I basically play with my eyes closed. So I don't. How can I teach when I can't say what it is I'm doing? I can't say
Right.
I am playing a whatever. I can't do that. So
See,
that's
I was the same. Like when I be like in a band and all with friends, and we be doing stuff, and then they started getting like really advanced. And they're like, "All right, well, it's in the key of V." I'm like, "I don't know E, A, G. I don't know none of it. Just show me where to play
well,
it."
my answer is, because I had to record with all these guys, right? And if they ask me what key it's in, I'm like, the key that sounded good when I wrote it. I'll show you where I'm playing it, and then you can figure that out. It's basically
It's
how
good
it
to be
went.
the boss, isn't it?
And then I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, yeah, I have no idea. So that's kind of hard to teach. So if you want to learn to play one of my songs, I can teach it to you, but I can't say what it is that I'm doing.
There you go. Just follow along and learn.
Yeah. So I
That's
learned
awesome.
I learned one of the I don't know, apparently one of the scales I like to play in is called a Spanish Phrygian minor or something like that. I don't know. Derek Sherinian said so. He knows everything about writing, reading music. So
There you go. I'll take his word for it.
I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I just do it. It's kind of
That's
like
awesome.
driving cars, people. We can all drive them, but not all of us can work under the hood, I guess.
This is true too.
Yeah. Good driver.
Racing cars is another one of your things I hear. Um,
Yes.
and it's it's not like even like you're racing a Volvo or a Kia or something. You're out there with a Ferrari.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
You're badass, girl. You're badass. Let me tell you.
Uh, thank you. When I do release it, new single, and I'm playing it at my live shows, everybody, take note, get a ticket, go. I am playing something I will be releasing in the future called Badassery. I'm
See that?
previewing it.
There you
So
go. I
go
had
out there
no
and
idea about that either. So look at that.
there you have it. You just got it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and that's about my love for racing. That's what Badassery is about, actually. So yeah, I I've got a big what did that guy call it? I was in the studio one day, and I think his name is Luke Spiller from the Struts or the Strokes or something. I don't know. He comes in and he says, "Did you see that banana Ferrari? My banana." So yeah, I call it my bee, and uh, I love to race. So I've done charity, races, things like that. Nothing professionally. I'm not a professional racer, so don't make that mistake. But it's definitely a very serious hobby, and I've done exhibition type stuff. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. That is
yeah,
awesome.
yep,
Do you know offhand? If not, people can just check out her website or social media. Do you know offhand those cities in Texas that you're playing?
yes. I'll be playing in Dallas, uh, Buda, which is near Austin, I think, like right outside of Austin, 10-minute drive
Okay,
or something, and then Houston as well. And that's March 24th, 5th, and 6th, I think. And
cool.
that's as special guest of Last in Line.
Love that band.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Another one of
They're
my all-time favorite guitarists, Vivian Campbell.
Vivian Campbell, absolutely, absolutely. Again, maybe I didn't mention, but definitely one of my heroes, absolutely. And touring with him has just been a dream come true. So, uh, what can I say except pinch me? I can't believe this is my life. You know,
That's
turned out
awesome.
this way. I wish I could go back in time and tell, teenage Tara what was going to be going on in her
Yeah, right.
later years. I'd be like, what?
Or the boyfriend that challenged you to the guitar drum duel.
Exactly. Where was that guy? His name was Mike, and I'm so sorry I don't remember his last name, but Mike from high school back in Florida. You got a shout out today?
There you go. He got a shout out, and there's no songs written about him.
And I hope no, I can't even remember his last name, dude. That wasn't a very serious thing. So, but again, I think the best part of the whole thing was that little contest. It was really fun.
There you go.
Um, yeah, but anyway, yeah, maybe he's learned to play guitar by now. I wonder.
I doubt
Yeah,
it.
probably not.
Well, Tara, this has been amazing. Congrats on everything you've done. Seriously, I mean,
Thank you.
it takes a pretty ballsy and special person to do what you've done. Like seriously, I'm proud of you, and I give you a hell of a lot of credit because you've done an amazing thing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And yeah, thanks for
Um,
doing this, and hopefully you come to Nashville at some point, and you know,
I I've been to Nashville. I played there, but I'm going to come back. I was at the Cannery Ballroom last
okay,
year. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Nashville's a really fun city to play too. Great city.
absolutely.
Love Nashville. Yeah, I'll be back as soon as I can. I'm trying to get everywhere that I can possibly get, you know, I
Cool.
want to go everywhere, worldwide.
Well, you're doing it. There's
I
no
am.
doubt about it. You are doing that.
I am. Yeah. So, everything had to open back up. I mean, that's the thing. I didn't want to, tour under all these restrictions, and it was just too difficult, and getting in and out of places was too difficult, and also the situation with limited audiences for a while. All of
Mhm.
that stuff, there were still people trying to get out there and do shows, but at my level, it's really not advantageous when I'm still,
Yeah.
opening, okay, and I'm not headlining it. It's not advantageous for me to go out, and put on my production at the cost, at the cost of my production, when there's only going to be, 25 or 50, even 50% of the people there.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, forget it. And you
Hmm.
can't do any meet and greet or anything like that. Um, and also know this, everybody, come out to my shows, because I do get off the stage and I go out and I meet people. I want to meet people face to face, and sign stuff, take pictures. I'm very approachable. I love getting in and knowing my fans. I think that it's a wonderful thing, and without them, I'm just making noise. You need people to listen. So
Sure.
if I'm moving them any way that all of my heroes moved me, then it's a perfect symbiotic relationship. So I'm out
Love it.
there to say hello
Love
always.
it.
Yeah,
And on social media, you can just find her on social media. You might be one of the lucky ones that get answered at some point.
absolutely. And I do it myself, and I will always do on my own. Yeah.
Oh, here's some nice words for you too from somebody, from
Okay.
Chris Damiano.
Oh, Tara is absolutely wonderful. Oh, thank you, Chris. I remember him, Destin, Florida, and he got up and jammed with Last in Line. They
Oh, no
did,
kidding.
yeah, they did a VIP thing, and he was one of those guys. And he got up and played with them. He was fantastic. And yeah, and then he came off the stage and was like, "Oh my god!" And so, very sweet guy,
That's awesome.
lovely, lovely human being. Yeah,
Well, he'll be in Dallas. He says. He says we will see you in Dallas.
excellent, excellent, excellent.
Cool,
Looking
cool.
forward to it. That's great.
Well, Tara, thanks again for doing this, and
Thank you.
can't wait to hear more and see more. And everybody, TaraLynch.com, best place to go.
Yep. TaraLynch.com, and then also, YouTube. My channel is Tara Lynch Official, and I think it's Tara Lynch Official on pretty much everything, all the social media channels, whatever. If you put that in, you'll get to me. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, thanks again. Have a
Thank
great night, and
you. You too.
go plug that polka dot V in for me, please.
I know, right? All right. Take
All
care.
right, take care. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.